Paris-Roubaix 2025 is shaping up to be an all-time classic, with Tadej Pogačar shockingly throwing his hat into the ring for the Queen of the Classics. While some are thrilled at the idea of a Grand Tour legend attempting to tame the cobbled beast, one man is certainly less than amused: Mathieu van der Poel. As defending champion and the undisputed king of the one-day slugfest, Mathieu van der Poel isn't about to let some Slovenian upstart waltz into the hell of the north and steal his crown. But how exactly will he do it? Let's dive into 6 tactical masterstrokes Van der Poel might use to ensure that Pogačar leaves Roubaix covered in dust, disappointment, and a deep respect for real cobbled specialists. Number 1. The "welcome to the cobblestone jungle" tactic. Pogačar may be a cycling prodigy, but even his titanium lungs and laser-focused watts can't erase the reality that he simply hasn't spent a lifetime taming the bone-rattling chaos of Roubaix's cobbled sectors. Van der Poel, on the other hand, was practically raised on these roads. Expect Van der Poel to exploit his knowledge of the best lines through the pavé, the hidden, smoother sections, and the deadly pothole minefields that will send an unsuspected newbie climber straight into a ditch. He'll use this expertise to make Pogačar fight the cobbles while he dances over them like a cyclocross maestro. The goal? Drain Pogačar's legs before the real racing begins. Number 2. The "let's play punching bag" attacks. If there's one thing Van der Poel has learned, it's that Pogačar loves to attack. And by loves, we mean he basically is addicted to it. The Slovenian thrives on aggressive racing, launching wild moves just to see who can follow him. But here's the thing: Roubaix isn't about relentless accelerations, it's about sustained brute force. Van der Poel will be more than happy to let Pogačar throw his weight around early, countering every move just hard enough to force him to burn his matches. The trick is making Poggy think he's in control while slowly, methodically breaking him down until the inevitable blow-up arrives, somewhere in the coiffure des arbres. Number 3. The Roubaix isn't won with Watts' bluff. Pogačar, for all his tactical brilliance, still occasionally falls for a good old-fashioned bait and switch. If Mathieu van der Poel plays this right, he can force Poggy into riding inefficiently. Picture this: Van der Poel deliberately lets gaps open, making Pogačar think he's in trouble. So naturally, Poggy goes full gas to drop him. But, surprise, the Dutchman was just toying with him, and now Pogačar has emptied his tank too early. Meanwhile, Van der Poel will be sitting pretty, waiting for the decisive move when Poggy's legs are made of jelly. Number 4. The cool cyclocross gods maneuver. Roubaix is a race where handling skills matter just as much as raw power. The cobbles aren't just tough, they are unpredictable. Rain, they turn into a slippery death trap. Dry conditions, they become sharp-edged, battering rams. This is where Van der Poel, a multi-time cyclocross world champion, has the edge. He can rip through the corners, bunny-hop potholes, and ride sketchy sections at speeds that make normal riders pray for their dear lives. If Pogačar tries to follow Mathieu van der Poel's technical wizardry, there's a good chance he'll end up making a fatal mistake, whether it's crashing, losing momentum, or just losing confidence. Number 5. The Alpecin Jošenik vs UAE Team Emirates battle. Cycling isn't just about individual talent, it's about team dynamics, and in this department, Mathieu van der Poel might have the upper hand. While Pogačar has a strong team, UAE Team Emirates squad, none of his teammates are true Roubaix specialists. Meanwhile, Van der Poel has a squad of dedicated cobble warriors, riders who live for these kind of races. Mathieu van der Poel can dictate the race while using teammates to force Pogačar to work harder than he would have, chase unnecessary attacks, or just isolate him before the business end of the race. It's the cycling equivalent of a pack of wolves separating a lone deer from the herd. Number 6. The knockout blow at Coiffure des arbres attack. This is where Van der Poel delivers the final dagger. Carrefour des Albres is the last true savage cobbled sector before the run into Roubaix velodrome, and is where legends make their moves. If Pogačar has survived up until this point, this is where Van der Poel turns the screws. With a devastating seated acceleration, trademark Van der Poel, he'll hit the sector so hard that even the strongest legs crack. If Pogačar somehow clings on, the sprint in the velodrome favours Van der Poel every single time. Final thoughts. Pogačar's nightmare. Tadej Pogačar is an all-time great, but Paris-Roubaix isn't just his race. No amount of power, ambition, or sweet spot watts can replace years of cobbled experience and the kind of brutality Van der Poel thrives on. When the dust settles in Roubaix, expect the Dutchman to stand victorious. While Pogačar covers in sweat and suffering, he'll be left wondering why he ever thought this was a good idea. Take a look at my last video where I cover why he will regret this. I truly believe he will, and there's a few reasons I lay out in that video, explaining as to why this is. Yeah, Pogačar somehow might pull off the impossible, I get it, but let's be real, Van der Poel isn't about to let that happen unless something pretty extreme happens. 4 wild scenarios where Pogačar somehow wins Paris-Roubaix 2025. Let's be real, Tadej Pogačar winning Paris-Roubaix is about as likely as Mathieu van der Poel choosing to ride a Tour de France stage on a city rental bike. The cobbled chaos of the Hell of the North is an entirely different beast from the mountain, possesses and punchy finals where Poggy thrives. But hey, miracles can happen, so let's explore the extremely rare, highly unlikely, and borderline ridiculous scenarios where Pogačar actually pulls off the unthinkable and wins the 2025 edition. Number 1, the everyone else crashes in the first 5 kilometers scenario. Yes, Paris-Roubaix is a race of attrition, but what if, hear me out, literally everyone except Pogačar hits the deck before the first real cobbled sector? Maybe Van der Poel gets caught up in a massive pile-up, Wout van Aert flattens both tyres while dodging fallen riders, and Mads Pedersen lands in a ditch. Suddenly the only riders left upright are Pogačar and a couple of domestiques who don't have the legs to keep up. With no real challengers, he just has to cruise to the victory like he's on a scenic gravel ride, looking over his shoulder every 5 minutes in disbelief. Number 2. The UAE Team Emirates has invented a new unfair advantage scenario. Let's not pretend cycling teams haven't tried some creative problem solving before. Maybe UAE Team Emirates arrives at Paris-Roubaix with some game-changing, borderline illegal technological marvel. Could it be ultra-lightweight cobble-absorbing suspension built into Pogačar's bike? Tyres infused with memory foam that refuse to puncture? Perhaps a wind tunnel optimized skin suit that slices through air resistance like a fighter jet. If the team somehow cracks the code for neutralizing the brutality of Roubaix's cobbles, Poggy might just find himself gliding to victory while his competitors are left bouncing around like rag dolls. 3. The Mathieu van der Poel gets lost scenario. Van der Poel is the king of Roubaix, but what if, due to some bizarre act of fate, he takes a wrong turn? Maybe a rogue sign points him towards Belgium instead of the Roubaix velodrome. By the time he realises his mistake, he's halfway to a Freit's stand in Ghent, leaving Pogačar to inherit an empty road and an unopposed ride to victory. Is it likely? No. But is it hilarious? Absolutely. Number 4. It rains so much that the cobblestones turn into a muddy mountain stage scenario. Pogačar is a mountain goat. He thrives on climbs. So what if, in a freak weather event, the cobbled sectors of Paris-Roubaix are hit with so much rain that they transform into a brutal uphill mud-covered nightmare? Instead of bone-rattling poivre, the race turns into a scene from a cyclocross apocalypse. Riders are slogging through ankle-deep sludge, their legs burning as if they're grinding up the Col du Tourmalet. Suddenly, this isn't a Roubaix suited for a power and an endurance-tested, let's just say, king like Van der Poel. This is where Pogacar's ability to suffer for hours on end gives him the edge. Okay, all jokes aside, I personally think it's really unlikely Pogacar will win this, especially after Van der Poel already beating him once this year. But I don't really care what my opinions are. I'm more interested in what you guys think, so comment down below what you think will happen and let us know. Leave a like on today's video and subscribe to this channel to stay up to date with the latest cycling news, cycling drama and cycling race results.